What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we put the real in reality or whatever.
Period.
I'm your host, Pharaoh, and we're joined with the lovely, wonderful Queen Kuzie.
Kuzie Mujakachi.
Kuzie Mujakachi.
Hey, hey, how are you?
Hi, Kuzie. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about the season? All of that.
I'm good, feeling great. Let's get into this. This season was unhinged. Honestly, it's as unhinged as I needed it to be, and even more. But I felt like it was the heartbreaking kind of unhinged, man.
Oh, girl, don't bring me back to my dark.
I feel like every week was heartbreak of some sort. I swear.
No, honestly, it truly was.
Yeah.
But did you love this? How do you feel about this season as a whole? Because there's a lot of good Big Brother Canada seasons. Some of the girls wasn't fucking with it. How are you feeling?
The beginning was a little slow for sure, because I expected fireworks right away. The fact that there were these two in the house, I expected them to go in on them, but it was so calm. There was too much friendship. I'm not here for friendship. We're not here for friendship. That's the problem. So to me, it started off like a little bit slow, and then the week after Dinis left, that's when we started seeing, some spice coming in.
Yeah, I feel like it started with the Dinis week. I kind of felt it with the Donna week too. Like, this is very random shit going on. And the Dinis week happened, and it kept going. It kept going, and twist after twist. Like, it was a crazy ride. Like, the fact that we ended up with a Bayleigh win, I was so shocked because
I was shocked. I thought she'd be out.
I thought she would be out preseason. I literally thought. I always thought, if someone was going to go, it would be Bayleigh, and Donna would be in the end game. So when Donna left, I was just like, I don't know how Bailey's going to get to the end of this game, but I mean, she did it, and she ate it. How you feel about her as a winner, girl?
Bayleigh as a winner. Do you know what? I was thinking about this, and I said, I cannot be mad with having Bayleigh as a winner. I can be upset with Dougie not winning, but I cannot be mad at Bayleigh winning because, my gosh, no, that girl, she came in hot and she stayed hot. I always say this. She came in hot and she stayed hot.
Yeah.
Like, at first, I thought, Bailey's doing a little bit too much. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Trying to create a moment. But, like, that's Bayleigh. And, grew to learn that real quick that, like, you know what, she brought the energy, kept the energy, and took it to the end. It's rare to see somebody, and I like that she won because she's confrontational.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet that said, I need Bayleigh to win because I need candidates to know that a confrontational player can also win this game.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Well played. Like, Bayleigh deserved that, man. Especially after those speeches. Hello.
Girl, like,
at one point I just said game over. Like,
she definitely
that was a crazy speech.
Yeah.
Like, I still was thinking about that to this day. I mean, like, I think definitely, like, still the biggest shocker for me was the decision from Anthony not to choose Lexus over Bayleigh. I mean, he's kind of given some his story of why he made the decision. He basically just thought that the Hot Chocolates would have voted Lexus over him because of the agreement they had, and he believed that above all that basically the Hot Chocolates would have still given him the win because of the agreement that they had. But those things did not turn out to be true. But I just feel like still it was such a wild decision. Like, I still can't imagine like being that close and like fumbling in that way. But
if I was Anthony, I would have gone about it two ways to finesse his only blunder was sending V to jury bitter. Sending V home was not the issue. It's the bitter part.
Yeah.
Right? Because after that, like when he's now pitching at the end, he could have said, I'm taking Bayleigh because I feel like this is the final two you need to see. Right?
That too. Yeah.
And that to me says, I'm not scared to stand against a competitor. I know that she played a game, but I played a game too, Like, let's fight. And I feel like had he done that, had he said, you know what, I'm taking a strong player and I want to make sure that I'm a stronger player to beat this strong player that you guys see, that might have brought him a bit of leniency. Also, I feel like as soon as he noticed that, he was thrown off by the jury not supporting his cocky talk.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's maybe what he had planned in his speech to talk talk your shit, But because of the reaction already, the energy, he couldn't actually give us the speech that he wanted to give. That's what I think.
Exactly.
That's really what I think.
And he needed to, I feel like he needed to like read the situation as it was being presented to him. I felt like if he had an idea coming into the finale, once he heard the energy from the audience and then saw how the jury was looking, he should have switched up everything he wanted to say. And I feel like, I don't know if he was trying to do that, but when he was like talking about how hard his year was and stuff, I was like, is this you trying to switch it up? And you didn't really know how to approach it other than the fact that, you're that nigga, because you did eat it up, and the game should speak for itself. But I feel like it was clear, especially when he saw the jury, that it was not speaking for itself.
It really you could see his lights just go like this.
Yes,
I'm telling you, he was so disheartened, and it was so hard to watch. That to me was harder to watch than him and Spicy fighting. That to me was like, oh. I was like, yeah, okay. I loved all of that. But watching his disappointments, man.
Yeah, I was very sad in that moment, because you could tell he really wanted it, and he really played his ass off. And I think, this was a huge discourse after Bayleigh won. Cause a lot of people saw it as calling the jury bitter means you're taking away from Bayleigh's win, which I don't think is the case at all. I think two things are true at once. I feel like they were not seeing Anthony's game as equally as any player in that house at some point. It seemed like they were definitely looking at it from a lens of bitterness, of a lot of their own emotions and things going into it, rather than looking at the overall game. But, in the same sense, they have a right to feel what they feel. Because I remember you said the same thing, Kuzie, your season. This is still, and this is you could be an emotional player. This is a game with real people, real emotions, real feelings. If I want to take that into account when I'm voting, I can do so. But I do feel like there was no self-reflection from some of the people voting. They were getting upset at him for doing things that they also did, for him being disloyal to alliances that they were also disloyal to. But overall, I don't think any of that takes away from Bayleigh's win. I think that his biggest mistake in that moment was taking Bayleigh, not necessarily anything that he did, because she did play such a powerful game. It's it's that thing of we don't like you that much. We don't necessarily want to give you the win. And then Bayleigh actually has a great story in a very powerful game that we have to reward. So I feel like, both of those two things happening at once, the bitterness and him picking Bayleigh, it just, really sunk his ship.
Yeah, I agree.
Two things can be true for sure. There's been a debate about, is there such a thing called a bitter jury, And you could say yes, because Anthony played the hell out of this game from day one. For him to not even have been a thought in anybody's minds to evict him till finale, for him to make finale, that's insane, right? He was the mastermind behind many of these moves. He outplayed a lot of people. Right. And for that, I feel like I would have definitely considered awarding him, even though I might have been victim to his hand. But he outplayed me, and that's why he deserves to win. However, the jury is bitter because who made them bitter? Yeah. Right. Exactly. It's also about management of those relationships, right? And unfortunately, if it's supposed to reflect the way that we behave as humans. It's an experiment, right? It's an experiment. It's a whatever. It's supposed to detect actual human decisions, and that's what happens in real life. You piss somebody off, you're out, right? So
I feel like with the bitter jury thing, I've always said that I believe that being bitter is a thing, but I just feel like it's the finalist's responsibility to make sure that the jury is going to vote for you at the end of the day, no matter what. Oh, shout out to MW, by the way. MW for Queen Kuzie.
Make it rain, MW.
Hey.
So I feel like it is the responsibility of the final two. I think it was Anthony's responsibility to make sure either he was sitting next to someone the jury would vote for him, or that he made the jury want to vote for him. And I don't think he did that. And I feel that way about every season. If there's a jury that is bitter, it was still his job to make sure that they were more bitter at the other person. Or not bitter enough to vote for him. I kind of feel like Anthony's mistake was more of a bigger picture thing, because we see it very, very, very little bit in the GOAT so far too, if you're watching the GOAT. But one of my issues I was talking to Lee about with the structure that the season went, I was like, Anthony didn't create an alliance at the beginning that was beneficial to him and Spicy, because he said, no way I could have went to the end with the hot chocolates. But my question is, why did you allow the hot chocolates to be the main alliance of the season? If you knew right when it formed that this was going to be something that was difficult for you to win in, he should have ensured that that alliance included Matt, which he did speak about. He was like, Matt might need to be in this alliance. We might need to make sure Tola's in this alliance. And what I've noticed from a lot of the Big Brother legends who end up winning the season is they have an alliance early on with people who are going to prioritize them, not with people who will prioritize somebody else. And I feel like if he would have made an alliance with Matt, Tola, Spicy, Kayla, Lexus, and that was the 6-person alliance, and then that would have worked. The directors was Matt and Elijah, but it's like it was made after the hot chocolates, and it was just Matt and Elijah. No shade to Elijah, and no shade to Matt either. But it's like they weren't, like, I feel embedded enough for it to really be solid. I really think he should have just made sure when the hot chocolates got brought up and he was thinking Matt should be in it, he should have just made sure, like, honestly, we should probably do a thing with Matt and Tola and just do this whole thing all together, because he immediately knew that wasn't going to be a good way for him to win. So he should have immediately made sure this structure was a better structure for me. And I feel like that's probably what messed him up, because he had to take out his whole alliance. Your alliance isn't going to be happy if you got to take them out. That's terrible. You're taking your alliance.
That's why I'm saying. That's why I think a lot of people will argue that he was not loyal to Spicy. That's why I think he was loyal to Spicy, because he was okay with a structure that didn't necessarily benefit.
That didn't benefit.
We were saying for like a while early in the season that I don't see how Anthony wins sitting next to Spicy. He wasn't making any real moves to go against her until the Matt week, where he felt like she had betrayed him. So I feel like, you know, that is why this end game is so bad for him, because he had to switch. He had to do a total 180 on his end game to be. And I think what's so interesting is that he was guaranteed final 2 either way, but by taking this second route of like targeting Spicy, it was in a way that was to me just way more impressive to watch. You know, he could have just sat there with Spicy and got the final 2 and have been good. But honestly, it is impressive that he was able to manipulate a lot allies to go after each other. You know, and it's definitely all about, I feel like, the game that you respect as a person. Like, to me, that type of gameplay I love to see. I think that is such iconic Big Brother, and I love it even more when it's a black man doing it. No shade, because it's like we really don't get a lot of strategic black players like that. So I love to see it. For you.
How hurt were you for Lexus though?
That's my sister, Kuzie. I have been rooting for Lexus all
me too.
season. I died.
Not my sister.
No, because Lexus was here for the movement. Like, she actually and here's what I hate about people saying, Lexus had no game, blah, blah, blah. What game? Because Lexus won when she needed to, when she could, and she collaborated with people to make moves that brought her to freaking top 4, top 3, you know? And I guess I was watching it, and Dougie was kind of trying to not confirm that Lexus was in hot chocolate, I guess, as some sort of defense for her. You know, and had Bayleigh gone out at that point, she wouldn't have known Lexus's game. And I feel like that was the main consensus in jury. Lexus's game was so under the radar that it looked like she was just coasting, but the girl was playing. The girl was playing. She won when she needed to, and I was so hurt that he cut her, because she really brought him there. You know,
she really did. She really did,
and she really wanted it to be them two at the end. You know, for the black people too, you know?
And it sucks because I feel like he, I don't know if he was around Lexus just too much, or he didn't, or Spicy was being too, you know, she was playing the game when she would talk to him, so she wasn't being transparent. But it seems like he did not understand that the other girls in Hot Chocolates weren't on that type of time, because he literally keeps saying over and over again on Twitter, on interviews, that he thought they were going to vote a black woman. That's literally what he's saying. He thought black women were going to vote a black woman to win, so he was afraid to bring Lexus. And I understand that he would think that would be what would happen, but it's like, you really got to assess how your season is going. You would think in Big Brother 24 after the cookout that they wouldn't all hate Taylor Hell, and they did. So you got to go based off of what's happening in the season, because even though that concept is a concept that seems like it would be true, they might not have voted Lexus on that basis. Even if they voted Lexus, it probably wouldn't have been that reason. It probably would have been more so, I don't want to vote Anthony.
Yes, exactly. And then I feel like, I would have, if I was Dougie, I would have preferred to lose to the
That too.
Yeah.
For sure.
But in situations like that, I always say, like, I feel like that's the simplest thing. Like, you've been working with Lexus this entire time. Y'all been loyal to each other. Like, if you just went based off loyalty, you probably could have just won it. Like, I think he definitely overthought the situation.
Yeah.
But that's a nice segue to like the recent Twitter shit though.
When you're there now, there's so much cloudiness,
Yeah.
You know,
I'd imagine. But basically, Dougie, he had replied to a person that was, making a joke about the decision or whatever. And, Dougie had said, they were staying and voting pro-Black, but only with the women. My best shot was to take them all out one by one and see how the hot chocolates really were. One of us had to win, right? Mm-hmm. And then Spicy commented under and added him and said, I promise you would have won beside Lexus.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's basically saying right there that if you had just taken Lexus, you would have won the entire thing.
Because the first message, Anthony's message don't make enough sense to me, because he's basically saying, I took them all out so that they can vote for me. And it's like, baby, that's not how that works. Because if we're voting based on being pro-Black and you took all the Black people out and you're expecting them to still vote based on pro-Black, that don't make sense. No shade. No. I love you, but that don't make sense. So I feel like if that's what he was thinking, he was very mistaken.
I think the main thing he was thinking was that they were going to respect the game over anything else, and that the hot chocolates were saying that they wanted a Black person to win this season. So I think he just thought, I can do all of these things also because they've also been disloyal to the alliance, and they would still respect me just like how he would have respected them. Because I do think he still would have voted Spicy, any of them, if they got to the end, and they were not willing to give that same grace. But then another situation, some real nasty tea. Because spoiler girl, she had asked, does anyone know why Tola didn't vote Anthony? Mm-hmm. So Anthony posted some receipts down, girl. Tola texted him, said, fuck bro, I just watched my eviction episode. I'm so sorry, bro. I was fed so much bullshit that I shouldn't have believed. You were loyal to me and always were, and I was always loyal to you from the bottom of my heart. Fucking Spicy. I shouldn't have listened to her sappy BS stories and just trusted my gut. I'm sorry. And he says, it's all good, my brother. It's part of the game. The love I have for you is worth more than the game, my brother. So it's definitely a little insight of what was happening in that jury house. I mean, and some people are also saying it now that these people were bitter before Spicy even went in. But we can't act like Spicy didn't have the final say. Y'all know damn well if Spicy went in there and told them to vote Anthony, they would have dropped everything and still voted Anthony.
Mm-hmm. No, man. But you know what? I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the jury because that's where you get there and you tell the truth. Yeah. You highlight like this person did this XYZ. Not in, I don't know. I guess it worked against him this time. But like I remember when we went to jury, like it was time for like to air all the cards. Like, yeah, you might be pissed, but you got outplayed. And that's why we're going to reward this person because they outplayed you in a game that you tried to play and you couldn't play as great as them. Therefore, the win, sir. You know? So it's a little disappointing sometimes when like true information is not shared at jury. Because that's where you let Kayla know that no, Dougie was actually trying to get you out to save Lex. That's why he did that. He had nothing against you. And then maybe at that point, Kayla would have been like, oh, well played, you know? So.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's my issue with this jury is that they were being lied to and they were lying to themselves. And every other bitter juror situation that I know of, from the information I know, they weren't lying in those juries. When Dan lost, they genuinely just wanted to vote Ian. When Tyler lost, they genuinely just wanted to vote Casey over Tyler. When Paul lost, they genuinely just didn't want to vote Paul. They knew what he did. They understood what he did. They didn't want to vote him. Here, it seems like they were being lied to. Spicy V knew the most information about Anthony's game. And honestly, she went in there and she lied. And she acted like that he was this all evil person. And then she also said she wasn't bitter. So it's not to like shade her, but also it is because you can't say you're not bitter, but then also try to influence the jury to not vote for him. Not because of game, but because of personal, and then probably withhold information from them. It doesn't seem like she wanted to tell them like you said, what the real information around the Kayla boot was, what the real information around why Avery, how she didn't care that Avery went home either. It seems like she said, Avery, I wanted you to stay, but Dougie didn't. You never said you wanted Avery to stay. And it's like you can't. I feel like she was still playing the game in the jury where y'all are supposed to be deciding who to vote. And the reason I don't appreciate this bitter jury is because it was lies. It just doesn't feel like it was true from what the information we have so far. Even Tola's message just then. It's like, so she went in there and tried to make him not vote for him. And it's like, okay.
And I think that's the ultimate thing is that each and every one of these jurors have also admitted in their exit press, in their jury debriefing, that Anthony did play the game of Big Brother. He played probably the best game in the goddamn house. Like, to admit it and then not give him the win, I get it. And like I said, it goes back to he also picked Bayleigh, which I don't think was arguably a good move on his part. But it's just that, like, they were not, it didn't feel like they were willing to consider his game in any sense of the word. And I think that's why a lot of people do feel like it's kind of a lie, no shade, that she's saying that he would have won against Lexus. I do feel like there's a good chance that Lexus probably could still beat him too, because it does not seem like any of the jurors had any of the real information that went down. So at the end of the day, they are upset and mad about things that they also did. And if they were sitting in final two, they would also want the win. So it's like, I don't understand why the bitterness and anger is there, because I feel like, especially like when I'm saying like them mentioning hot chocolate, like we spoke about this before, but none of y'all were loyal to the hot chocolate except Lexus and Kayla a little bit. Like, but when it comes to working for the best of all five of them getting to the end, none of y'all were doing that. No. So to pretend like because he was disloyal to that, I now have to not vote him or be bitter or call him out. Because the thing is, like, to me, it feels like it's extended past the game at this point. Like, no shade. Like, the fact that he would have beef in real life about the situation, I find kind of crazy, because it's like, it was all a game situation. You know, he was playing the game to get to the end and possibly win. And so the fact that he played so hard and fought so hard and did what he think was right, and they were not able to see him for any good qualities he had, is crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
I partially don't. I can sympathize with Victoria. You know why? Because when you get into jury, you are raving mad, you know? You are so disappointed. It's like, for example, when I went into jury, I came in swinging for Ty. When Anika came into jury, she came in batting against Cece. And so that worked completely against freaking Claudia. And then it bumped Ty to, you know. So when people are fresh out of the house, man, you've got to know you have to send them out on some goodness, because they will get there and they will trash you so hard that it's irreversible, like it's irreparable at a certain point. But anyway, well, what can you do?
Yeah,
there's nothing we can do now. Bayleigh got her check, girl. She got her check on her.
Shout out to Todd McDonald in the chat.
Big guy McDonald. I like that guy. Listen, that's a winner.
Period. That's some other tea that came out. So
what?
Bayleigh and my exes, which I think is such a gag. That is such a gag. The fact that they came in one back to back.
See, this is why. This is why y'all need to follow, keep up with the winners. If you follow Ty on Instagram, right when the cast dropped, on his Instagram story, someone asked, are you gonna speak on how your exes with blank? And he erased the name. So he erased the name on his Instagram story, and then he replied and he was like, you know too much information. I'm definitely gonna root for them. Da 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 da. And then, you know, when you do process of elimination, it was obviously Bayleigh. So I low key knew he knew Bayleigh this whole time already. But you got to keep up with the Joneses, because sometimes you get that information. But yes, that is tea down.
Right? How crazy is that? And the fact that she's the one that introduced him to Big Brother. He did not know a thing about Big Brother. He didn't care, really.
And now they both won. Like, that's nasty. That's nasty.
Oh, speaking of that, honestly, and you were saying it earlier, Kuzie, how like she was able to really walk in Bayleigh and leave Bayleigh. And Ty said he did the same thing. And honestly, in Big Brother, especially from what I've noticed, Big Brother Canada, being yourself, being your true authentic self, baby, it's going to get you to the end of the game, or you're going to do great things in that game. If you're just yourself, when you go in and you try to pretend to be someone else, or if you try to play a little bit differently, it's not going to work out for you. If you're Bayleigh, you need to be Bayleigh. A lot of these BB Can winners, they're just themselves. Sarah, Paris, Ty, Bayleigh, like they really are just themselves. And they win the game. So don't go in there trying to pretend, oh, I want to be the next hoop. You're going to lose, baby.
Yeah.
I promise you're going to lose. Yeah. So go in there, be yourself. I really think it clearly works out. And then it creates better TV.
It does. It really does. And let me tell you something, not to tell somebody else's story, but somebody that's got a similar story to that is Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. If you hear his story about how he tried for so many years, and then the years that he finally became himself, boom, that's like he was this, and like we loved him so much in the house, honestly. Like he was our entertainment in the house, and it's like that's the Daniel we needed. And I don't know, our season was pretty good, except for a few people.
But that's why everything always happens for a reason. Like no matter how long it may take, everything happens for a reason. You're destined for certain things to happen when they happen. And he obviously went to the Big Brother house at the right time, and that's really good for him.
Yeah, very much so. All right, y'all. We can get into these actual like players individually. We can talk about them because Lee and I, we spent all season. We've been giving the players individual overall ratings. We'll just go back, see how we're feeling, see if we want to change that. And then we haven't rated the last 5 players, so we're gonna have to give them an overall rating as well. 5, girl, because with Big Brother Canada, they try to turn the fees off. It's a lot. But anyway. Oh, shout out to them all.
Do I
come on in the chat.
Hey,
Kuzie looks the fuck good and does.
Hey. Thank you, my love. Thank you, my love.
Yes, Kuzie. Question? What'd you say?
Oh, I was saying, I get to rate everybody.
You get to rate everybody overall. How you feeling? Period. So we can start out with Janine.
Okay. Oh, wait.
You got a question?
The problem is that I've made friends with some of them. So what do you hear me say?
It's okay. We allow a friendship curve. We do.
Guys, please don't hate me. I'm about to say the things that I was feeling on the season. You're great people, but
And that's the huge thing. No judgment of score critique is related to the actual person at all. Because I've been watching the show for years. Like there are people that you feel strongly about on the show, and I don't give a damn after. I don't care. I truly do not care.
Yeah.
Particularly as them as players in this game, and they know a lot of them was not doing what they needed.
And also on top of that, we're at the reality kingdom. So if it's actually shade, I'm gonna let you know. I promise you. When I get to the people who I'm actually going to be talking mess about, I'm gonna let you know I'm finna talk mess about you. All right, it's gonna be obvious. You're not gonna have to be confused. I'm sorry.
All right.
Kuzie, I know that your friend.
I'm fully charged. Let's go. Let's do
Okay, boom. So we're starting off with Janine. I initially gave Janine a 3.5 as an overall score. Honestly, time has passed. She went home. I'm not feeling great again. I'm gonna just give her the 3, and it ain't no shade. But I don't recall that there would have even been a path. And you know what? Now that the season's over, you can kind of see the path the season would have went down. Kind of if they would have stayed. And I don't see how Janine would have really made it nowhere in this game. But I do think she had a lot of great instinct, and all the things I said about her when I initially gave the score, if it was an all newbie cast, she would have had a better chance. But I'm going to just give her the 3 for this season and move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, Lee?
Yeah, a little background for me is that since the start of the season to the end, I actually went back and binged seasons 1 through 7 and rated the players like on a list. So I feel like I have like idea of where the people can go. And I feel like Janine, I have to move her up. I feel like overall I want to give her a 4.5. I think a lot of the people who I've analyzed coming into this game, they don't really have the forethought of wanting to create alliances, create side deals, and basically be their own pillar of strategy in the game. And I think Janine was setting up to be that. If she did not have Anthony and Spicy in the game, I think she could have at least made it to jury and set up a winning path. So I don't want to just say that she didn't have a path, because I feel like this season was so all over the place that we don't know what would have happened if Anthony and Dougie were not here or anything. So I do think her capability as a player is way higher. So I'm gonna go with 4.5.
Period. Kuzie, how you feeling?
I beg to differ. Janine, do you know what Janine? I was rooting for Janine, and I love Janine. Hi, Janine. Love you. Do you know what pissed me off? When
What?
Spicy gave her lethal information and she did not use it.
Yeah,
Because if I'm in line to be first going home, my goodness, I am gonna go out swinging. Because at that point, I can piss anybody off. I don't have what's it to me? If I'm gonna go home first, I'm gonna go home first, whatever. But I'm gonna leave having set that thing on fire.
Yeah.
She got information, she did not use it. And that could have maybe saved Donna the next week. Maybe it wouldn't, the Donna thing would have happened. The Dinis thing would have happened. So I was really pissed off at that. So I'm gonna go Janine. Overall, I'll go 4 because she really could have flipped the game week 1. We would have been eating from the beginning. We started to eat in week 3. We were hungry.
That would have been nasty.
No, it would have. And I remember she was campaigning, but I remember like Arissa even asked her, why you didn't campaign harder? Like it seemed like you was kind of just half campaigning.
But you know what she said?
She said it's bigger than me. There's nothing bigger than you.
No, I was just going to say that
money.
She said that she wanted a girl to win, and look, her homegirl Bayleigh won. So maybe.
Well, that's to Bayleigh, but it didn't have to be that way. It could have gone another way,
Yeah, it really could have.
It didn't have to be like that. No, there's nothing like there's something bigger than me. No.
I was gonna ask Kuzie. So you said if you was a hot chocolate and your ass got backdoored, you would have felt like a canary.
Kayla is a better woman than me. Kayla is a better woman.
Great woman.
It can never be me, girl. The names would have got leaked. Everything.
It can't.
Next, Kuzie, we have Donna. How do you feel about Donna?
Oh, Donna, that's one of the players that I was actually really excited about. Donna.
Yes.
Look at her. She's such a yummy. She's so gorgeous.
gorgeous.
But we didn't get to see too much of her, And so it was very heartbreaking, actually. But I'm gonna go with I'll go with the 5. She was a level-headed player. She had a lot more game. I could see that she had a lot more game. She really tried with those campaigns. She didn't, blow up the house, which you don't need to blow up. It's not every time you blow up the house, But yeah, she did her thing. Like I'm not mad at her game at all. I just wish we got to see her a little bit more. So
yeah, I actually agree. Like I already gave her the 5. I'm gonna stay with the 5. Yeah. I feel like she definitely had a lot of good chops, and she's someone who I feel like, because that's the thing with Janine. I feel like I'm not sure how her game would have went with Dougie and them or without them. With Donna, it's like I thought she was gonna do good even in this season, and I feel like it was very particular that she went home. It seemed so sudden. It seemed almost random. I don't even think Spicy V probably regrets it at this point. Like, girl, you lost. Like, so I don't know. I just feel like it was very particular. And I feel like her gameplay was setting her up to be one of the people who actually could have been at the end game. And you know what? I wanted to say this because the girls get on Lexus. And what I noticed about the 3 people in Final 5 with Victoria and Anthony are that those were the 3 people who were mingling most with Victoria and Anthony on both sides. Because Bayleigh, we know Bayleigh did it. She talked about it in her speech. She purposefully made a relationship with Anthony, even though she was with the girls. Lexus had been with Anthony, but she also had the girls as well the entire time. And Todd was more on the girl side, but since he was a guy, he was working more with Anthony. It was genuinely the 3 people who was working most with both sides. No one else in this game worked with both sides the way that Todd, Lexus, and Bayleigh did. They all 3 worked with Victoria and Anthony. And I feel like that's something Donna definitely would have did. And I feel like Donna probably would have just, if it was Bayleigh instead of Donna probably could have won the they would have just replaced.
I was literally thinking that, like Donna, like Bayleigh Loki got lucky in that week too, because I feel like if Spicy had just targeted Bayleigh instead of Donna, like Donna probably wins the game. Like I could easily see that, and I think that's why I'm gonna go with the 5 as well. She has such a lot of good qualities, I feel like, as a player, and I just, I still don't agree with Spicy taking her out in the spot that she did, especially because the way they moved later in the game, they themselves basically regretted it because they felt like they had to take out Anthony's people because they didn't have any people when, she's the one who took out Donna. So I definitely don't think she should have went there, or her going there isn't really much to do with anything that she did. other than really just breathing and a lot of paranoia about the whole East Coast thing that didn't even exist.
Yeah. Some bullshit. Next is Dinis. Lee, how you feeling about Dinis? You gave him a 5 last time.
I think I'm gonna stick with the 5 with Dinis, mainly for the same reason. Like, I mean, he went in a spot by his closest ally in the game that was being manipulated by the best player in Big Brother Canada history. So it's like, I don't want to knock him too much, you know. And I mean, Anthony even tweeted today. He says the only players who ever struck fear in his heart was Sam from BBK7 and Dinis.
Period.
Like he was terrified of Dinis, and Dinis was a player in the game. He had this connection with the girls. He used to have relationships with the guys. He was aware of the type of player that Anthony could have been in this game. Seemed like one of those few people who was really, really on it. And then he got boom clipped. So I don't want to knock him too much as a player because I think that he was on a good trajectory as much as he could be in a season with these iconic returnees. So I'm gonna stick with the 5.
Kuzie, how you feeling?
Dinis, I want to give him a bit of a higher score, actually.
Period.
Because Dinis had balls of steel ice. I'm telling you, Dinis, I feel like Dinis is the only one that would have taken the shots of the 2 at one time. He would have put both in the block. And I really believe he had all the guts. He was here for all the smoke. And I'm livid even till this day that his game ended early because wild. I want to go with jeez. It's gonna be drastic, but I want to go with a 7 for Dinis.
Come on, Queen.
I want to bump him to a 7, man. Like, I appreciated that. Even when he got put on the blog, he said, "I'm not smiling at you." Come on.
No, he was putting it on the floor.
No, literally.
Like, how are you going to win?
I'm going to burn this house down.
Right.
I wanted to see more of a burn. That's why he didn't get a 10. But, you know.
No, period. Shout out to Dinis. He's been supporting us. Thank you for the support. Dinis is amazing.
I like
great guy. Donna was supporting too, and so was Janine. Shout out to all of the
pre-jury 8.
Mm-hmm.
The pre-jury 8 down. They all should have been in the jury.
It's no shame.
Yes, they did. And they were on social media right away. You know, interacting with everybody, like giving us content. Like, come on.
That's another one of Anthony's problems. Every time there's a bitter jury, it's because the sheep were the ones who made it to the jury, and all of the real players were pre-jury. No shade to the jury. Well, no, it was shade. It was this time because genuinely every time there's a bitter jury, it's a flop ass jury. They're not the good players. All the good players went pre-jury. And honestly, if Dinis was in jury and Vivek was in jury and Donna and Janine were in jury, I don't think they would sit there and be like, well, we're just not gonna. I think they would be like, we have no choice. There's nothing y'all can do. Dinis was saying it while he was in the house getting manipulated, like while he got backdoored by his closest ally. He was like, you're not gonna win. You're never gonna win. Anthony's gonna win. And it's like, he shut up. And it's like, I genuinely feel like if the pre-jury was the jury, Anthony would have got his win regardless. Shout out to Bayleigh though.
Yeah.
But now Dinis, love you, boo. But my issue with Dinis was I do feel like he was very one-track minded sometimes. When he wanted to win comps, he was like, fucking, I'm winning them all. Hold on. You're on week 3, baby. When he wanted to go after Anthony, he was like, fucking, I'm not talking to him all week. Didn't talk to him once the whole week. And then Anthony got your ass out. And it's like, that's my issue. Even if it was all newbies, you can't just have a one-track mind and you only on week 3, baby. This is a marathon. I get it. Like we're in jury. Everyone's already settled on their sides. Boom, we moving. You were on week 3 ready to go to war with Vivek. Please. And it's no shade, but please, man. So that was my one issue with him. And I think that's why I gave him the 4.5 last time, because I do think he has a lot of great qualities. I want to give him the 5, but it's like, ugh. What I know is I know if Dinis were to come back, which he would deserve, honestly, of this cast, he's probably damn near the top 1 of the newbies who should come back. Honestly,
definitely.
He would do better on a second chance. But this time I'm gonna keep him at the 4.5, and it's no shade. Tough of love. Tough of love. Prove me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong.
Pharaoh is a tough grader, child.
I am a tough grader. I need y'all to step it up. Woo! And that's on period.
Louder.
Because I want him to watch this, and I want him to be like, ugh, not a 4.5. So when he comes back, he's gonna be like, he gonna be like 4.5. Where? He gonna eat me up. That's what I wanted to do. Next is Vivek. Child, my first man, my man. And you know, a 3 was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
In the sense that it was too high. Because look, Vivek, look, baby.
He's a sweet man.
Sweet, beautiful gowns. Sweet man.
Yeah.
But what was this? What was this performance? And you know what? I remember why I gave him the 3. I gave him the 3 because he had a lot of smart things to say. And he didn't do none of them. And that's my issue, because he was saying Anthony gotta go. He was trying to make the East Coast Alliance because he didn't want no veterans in it. He was trying to work with people who wasn't working with them, but then he backdoored his closest ally and went home the next week. And it's like, oh, I just can't get behind that. And if Janine's a 3, you got to be worse than that. So I do think it's going to be the 2.5 from this performance, because you didn't do nothing right when it came to doing. Thinking you thought a lot of the right things, but you didn't do any of the right things. So it's going to have to be a 2.5. I'm sorry, baby. Lee?
Yeah, basically, it's definitely just based off the things we saw. Like, a lot of the times it's harder to rate these earlier players because we don't get a lot of information, especially now with digital dailies. But, like, in Vivek's short time, he did a lot of wrong things. And it's like, that's what's unfortunate, because I do think he had great instinct. I feel like if there were not returnees, maybe he still would have been better. But it's like, the thing that he was convinced to do was so asinine that it's like, maybe you could have got convinced to do it by a non-returnee. So I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm gonna stick with the 2 overall. I definitely feel like there was some promise there. Definitely, he understood the game. He was a huge fan, but it just was not able to connect inside of the house.
I'm confused at how you think he understood the game.
Well, he spoke well about like his knowledge, basically. He said he was a super fan. He watched the U.S. seasons, the BB seasons. It seemed like he understood, like, okay, like with Anthony, for example, he was like, I don't want to openly target Anthony, so I want to make it seem like I'm someone who can be used by Anthony, which is what he was kind of going for. But in the same sense, he did just get used by him. So it's like, I think that he would say some good things, especially when talking to Dinis. But then he would go and backdoor Dinis. So it would be like, okay, well, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. You know, the one thing about
I'm trying to help him, Kuzie. I'm trying, girl. I'm trying.
You're over laughing. That's the problem. You're over laughing. Okay. So with Vivek, when he won that thing, he was walking around puffing his chest saying, every week they've made me suffer in this house. You win.
He did say that.
Walking around, you know, and we said, all right, get it, Daddy Vivek. Get it, Daddy. And I woke up next morning and boom, Dinis is on the block. I said, what? And the fact that he got convinced so hard, yet 2 days ago, you guys all put in your hands and you said, yippee, let's get these all-stars out. You get convinced so deep to take out the man that just gave you life.
He just used a veto on him. I forgot he did that.
Immediately, that broke my heart, that if I was Dinis, I would have a very hard time forgiving it, because God knows how long Dinis had wished for this, you know? And I get that. Yeah, concentrate on game. That's okay. But life too. You just don't do that to somebody that put their, you know, he put his back on the line for Vivek, and then he turned around and did that. To me, that is a move that you don't do even in game. I don't know, but
I hear you, girl.
Unless there had been a cat and mouse situation, you know, ongoing all season, and then I save you 1 week because I'm like, yeah, game on, buddy, and then next week you win and you take me out. Okay, cool, well done. But we're at the very beginning of the game. You've got all these people, and you go after the one person that really just gave you another chance. Wild to me. But I also just like how Vivek is. He was also himself. He was not gaming. He was not thinking of gaming. He was thinking of, how do I win this too, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't playing with the pace that everybody else was on already. I feel like he was I don't know. I don't know what influenced him, and I was so hurt, man. I was so hurt to this day.
To this day.
but but Vivek player rating, I'm gonna go with for the fact that he understood afterwards. He understood and he saw it eventually. Eventually. Yeah, we're gonna go with a 2.
Yeah.
That's what I live for. Like when he did it, like when he went home, he immediately was like, "My biggest regret is taking out."
Yeah,
like, he understood immediately.
He understood, and that's my forgiving grace, But
yeah,
and I remember at this time of the season, I'm like, "Well, this is the dumbest Big Brother candidate history. There's no way this is going to be top." And Avery said, "Girl, hold my purse." Like,
I'm gonna give him a 2.5. I like him. I like Vivek.
Period.
I like him, but I'm gonna. But I was really hurt Vivek though. But 2.5 then.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I feel like that is another reason why I don't understand why Anthony's game isn't more respected. Because like if you analyze every single eviction this season, it has been a blindside or a betrayal. Donna, Dinis, Vivek, Matthew. I mean, the line goes down. Elijah, Kayla, all of them were backstabbed or betrayed by people in this game. So like to be acting like Anthony was the only person doing it all season is crazy.
No,
it is. Next we have Matthew. Lee, you can go first. How you feeling about Matthew?
Well, not a lot of thoughts on Matthew. It's no shade. I love him and Lexus together. The posting coverage. They're so adorable. I live for them. We need to see more of them. But Matt in the game, we just didn't get much from Matt. He was loyal to Anthony as he should be, period. Loyal to Lexus, period. Like he was loyal to all the right people. But the hot chocolate, the other people in the hot chocolate, they really burned him, but he wasn't really necessarily part of it. So, and that was kind of on him. A lot of the things I was saying about him early this season was that he wasn't as active. When he kind of got into showmans, him and Lexus kind of removed themselves from the game, so to speak, which is usually what happens with showmances. It just affected him more because he wasn't in any of the solidified things that she actually was, So I ended with a 3.5. I think I'm gonna just go with the 3 overall for him as a player. Like I said, we just did not get much other than his undying loyalty to a group that ultimately turned on him.
Kuzie, how you feel?
I learned something from Matt. He said, "Don't just talk about it, be about it, baby." But also, I really liked him in Lexus, and because I've got a soft spot for Lexus, I just really liked him. He's such a cutie. Oh my goodness, Matthew, such a cutie. Wow. Did you see him putting his hand through Lexus's hair and God?
Oh yes, girl, yes.
I prayed that night. I fasted the next day. Lord, it is me. I'm in my 30 years of life. Not once has anybody.
Silly.
It's okay. Matthew was. I feel like he's one of those that we didn't get too much camera time on. I wish we did get a lot more for him so that we could actually see what he was doing. But the fact that he had Dougie crying when he was about to leave shows me that he had deeper connections that we just didn't know about. And maybe that's what kept him for the first few. I guess it's pretty early in the game. Oh, he just missed jury. I wish he would have been on jury.
Me too.
I feel like he wouldn't have had been bitter, for lack of better words. I feel like he could have been able to also see the game pretty clearly. I'm sad that he didn't make jury. Actually, I wanted him to make jury. So overall, I'm gonna go with Matt. I'm gonna give him a 4.5.
Okay, period.
I like him. I thought he was stable. I didn't think he was erratic. He didn't panic too much. He was level-headed. He was someone that you could actually have on your team and depend on. He was trustworthy. So for that, as a player, his playing tactics were mellow, but he was in the game. Like I'm not mad at him.
I'm gonna agree. Like that's exactly what I was thinking about him as well. Like the reason I feel like he would succeed in a lot of seasons is because he's a mellow player. Like he's relaxed. He's able to be loyal to an alliance and ride with it and get to the end. I think he's good at choosing allies for the most part. The only reason he was rocking with Spicy is because Anthony vouched for her, and it's like, fuck that up. But other than that, I think in this season, more than any season of Big Brother has shown me, that being able to choose the right allies does wonders in this game. And I think that's why I regard Lexus as a really good player, regardless. And I regard Matthew as a good player in his own right too. Cause it's like, you really have to have some discernment of who are the trustworthy players in the game and who are not. And I feel like if you can gravitate towards the trustworthy players, especially Lexus, because she's a girl and there was a girls alliance and she was able to discern that these girls are turning on Donna week 2. I cannot. And it's like, it really should be obvious to Kayla, to Avery, to Spicy herself that like this is an erratic situation we're doing right now, and we don't need to be with these type of players in this game. And Lexus specifically, she showed that she's not going to work with those people. And I think Matthew chose the right people to work with for the most part. It was just his allies vouching for these people who weren't actually trustworthy set him up. But I really like his level-headedness. I really think it'll do him wonders in a lot of different seasons. But he went home so early. Yeah. And we didn't get to see a lot of it. I do think his social game was better than what we saw because Kayla was crying when he went home. Kayla was crying. Avery was crying. Lexus was also crying. It was a lot of people who were genuinely connected to him socially. So I feel like I would have liked his social game more, but we didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
I gave him a 3.5. I want to go up, but we just didn't get to see it. So I'm going to keep it at the 3.
Fair. Very fair. Yeah.
I really wish we saw it though, because I do think a lot of people really loved him. Even Elijah, I think, liked him a lot. But anyways, moving on to Elijah. Kuzie, thoughts?
Elijah. You know what? I liked him from the very beginning. I really liked him. I think that I liked him even more, especially because of his Dougie vote at the end.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, because like he didn't get influenced by the traction of how it's going. Because trust me, you kind of know how people are gonna vote when you're now sitting there, and he didn't get. Maybe it was a pity vote or whatever. I don't know, but he decided to be different. However, I thought that he was actually gonna put up Dougie when he won because all along he's been the pawn. Now, make them fear you. Make them fear you, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Nobody had any sort of fear for Elijah. So I feel like with his win, he didn't do much with it.
Yeah. And
so that's why I would go with maybe a 2.5, 3 for Elijah.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
I gave him a 2 because he wasn't doing it for me. He was volunteering to be the pawn.
Yeah.
When he won HOH, nobody he wanted out went home. He had no influence. He knew he didn't. He started spreading information to everybody, and everybody was getting back to him. They targeted him the week after that. The only reason he didn't go home is because they wanted to spite Anthony and take out Matthew, and then he still went home anyways. After they spited Anthony and then got you out. Like that's that's all that was. So I didn't like any of those. I respect the jury vote too. Good for him, but I'm gonna just keep him at the 2. No shade. Lee.
Yeah, I definitely agree with keeping him at the 2. We just did not get a lot out of him, and a lot of times too, like when we were analyzing these players, it was like, well, it really doesn't matter because Spicy and Anthony's probably going to win. And now that we're seeing that Bayleigh won it all, it's like, well, we see what a newbie player should have done to prioritize himself in the game. And these other players were not necessarily doing it, especially like Elijah. Like Elijah set himself up to be collateral damage week 1, and that continued. So it was always going to be at some point, he's just going to go because he never put himself first. So why would they, So it's like, him as a game player in this game, it just was never really ever anything major. Only because I feel like he did it to himself. He kind of put himself there. He was comfortable with it, and when they were done using him, they let him go. So it's really unfortunate, but hey,
yeah. Next is Kayla, my girl.
Now, this is a hard one, girl. This is a hard one.
This is a hard one. I think Kayla, I always said it, I think Kayla would have won the season if it was all newbies, if she didn't have the impact of the veterans. The only reason she went home is because of both of the vets. Like, everybody else maybe got out because of one of them. This was both of them. Spice V was turning on her ass, and so was Anthony. It was time. She had to go. And they were and that's the thing. No shade to Anthony, but he said the only people who put fear in his heart was Dinis and Sam, but the way he was talking about Kayla, baby, you were scared. You were definitely scared because there were digital dailies, and we don't even see the live feeds. We only see the clip digital dailies. There's digital dailies of him and Spicy. Kayla's walking around best friends with everyone loves Kayla. What's that if not fear? Okay. But anyways, I do think she had a lot of influence in this game. The reason Elijah gave her that information is because of her influence. He was trusting her even after she was turning on him. A lot of the people really did respect her, I feel. I feel like if she would have made it to the end, she probably would have won. And I also feel like similar to like Dinis and Donna, very circumstantial elimination. It was very much so because Spicy wanted Lexus all the way out from the game, not as a pawn, like she claimed. She wanted Lexus out of the game. And so Anthony had to retaliate. Very, very circumstantial. I do think she was a very great player. If she would have made it a little further, I probably would give her the 7. But I'm just going to stick with the 6.5. I think it was very powerful. I think she could have won a lot of other different seasons. I think she was the biggest... the person who was most harmed by the fact that it was veterans in the game. And she is similar to Bayleigh in the sense that she was going to get what she wanted. Matthew wanted her out, so they thought. That's why Matthew went home. You know, it was very much so they got to go because they're targeting me. Even Vivek. I remember Kayla was the first one to be like, Vivek has to go because he wants to target me. It's like she was very active in making sure. And she was claiming the Donna move herself as well. It's like, you claiming everybody. And I really think she was one of those more powerful players this season. So I'm gonna do this 6.5. Lee, how you feeling?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I agree with you when you say she's the most harmed player by the returnees being here, because I do think she's a really dominant player on her own. I just feel like one of my main issues with Kayla throughout the season was that she was getting so caught up in the Spicy of it all, because Spicy had a lot of ideas and thoughts about how she wanted certain things to go. And I feel like Kayla would kind of just overthink with her, and they would kind of all three, the trio would kind of spiral on certain thoughts and ideas that weren't really necessarily making sense. And I do feel like while it was circumstantial, it was also a lot of the things that they were doing as a trio that ultimately led to her leaving. Like if Matthew did not go, because I think that was the huge catalyst of Anthony and Lexus fully flipping on the hot chocolate, which led to all three of them leaving because they lost their trust there. And if Kayla just kind of played that well, I think that she could have been at least safe within that, because we saw when she was sent home the week she was starting to try and reconnect with Anthony and reconnect with Lexus. So if the end game was the hot chocolate, she'd be basically in the middle of two pairs, which is great gaming. But it's like you can't do that after just taking out both of their closest ally with literally no explanation really at all. Yeah. And so I think that if she had just kind of played her cards right with the alliance earlier, or just made sure she wasn't so caught up in everything that Spicy was doing, because Spicy, while she was doing all of those things, she would go to tell everybody that it's Kayla and Avery doing it, and mainly Kayla. Like she dumped a lot of the backlash on Kayla's game, and she was suffering from that. So I do think that even if it wasn't for this circumstance here, she could have got clipped probably the next week or the week after that, because it came to a point where everyone in the game was seeing her as a threat. And I don't know if she would have been able to really do much about that. I think I am going to stick with the 6 overall, though. I think that she really had a lot of good qualities as a player, and I want to see her play again.
Yeah, she's one of the people I feel like when I was talking about choosing your allies, she's one of the people who, if she knew how to do that, well, and that's the thing. I do think she had an awareness of it because she was going to flip and start working with Anthony and Lexus from what we saw. So I think she was going to grow into a player who was able to choose correctly. But from what she chose from the beginning, she chose the wrong ally. She chose the wrong side. She should have been with Anthony and Lexus from the beginning. You saw Spicy, the way she turns, the way she flips, the way her mind changes. It was too risky to be an ally with someone like that. And I think Kayla should have been smarter enough to discern that. But I would love to see her play it again as well. But Kuzie, how you feeling?
Kayla, I would go 7. Only reason I wouldn't go higher is because all of these newbies got played by Anthony and Spicy V. Like they were kind of like following their lead somewhat. Yeah. But I feel like Kayla had an opportunity to go left, and she didn't. And she didn't fight as hard as I wanted to see her fight when she was up on the on the chopping block. So for that reason, but I did think that she stood a really good chance of winning. I would have been happy with the Kayla win for sure. So that's my comments on Kayla, and I like that she she was just beautiful and kind in the house. Like,
period.
yeah, listen, I'm here for the you know. Yeah.
Period.
No, you ate that.
Yeah. But yeah, I did enjoy watching her. I just wish she would have fought a little bit harder.
Girl, Lee, next is Avery.
Spicy?
Avery.
Let me stop.
Avery V. Spicy Junior. Spicy number 2.
Well, with Avery, I mean, her game was interesting. It was definitely interesting. Like I said earlier, like when Vivek made his move against Dinis, I was like, well, this got to be the worst move ever. And then we see Avery do what she did to Matt, and then we see what she did to Kayla. It's just like when you see players like that, it's like, wow. I almost feel like shocked, like as a person wanting to play this game, especially because Avery claims to be such a huge fan, to be so easily swayed into targeting people that is literally your closest allies in the game. It's really hard to watch almost, because I'm just like, I wonder her as a super fan, how she looks at it looking back, like at how easily she got manipulated in those situations. Like it was like that. And I think that's what's so annoying about Avery is that every time she would always have the correct instinct. Like she would always say the correct thing they should be doing, at least for her individual game, and it will always get switched whoever she spoke to, really. So, and I think I could let the Matt week go, but the Kayla week was just pure craziness, especially because she went home right after her, and she basically went home after her because not only was Kayla her closest ally, Kayla was also a buffer in front of her. If she did not take out Kayla herself, Kayla probably goes the week Avery goes, and she gets another life in this game to potentially be in the final 2 because she was that good at those competitions. Yeah. So I just feel like she completely screwed herself in this game. So I left with the 2.5 because of those instincts, but honestly, I feel like I'm just give it the 2.
Yep. It is the 2 for me. And honestly, it might be the 1.5 for me. Let me think. It's gonna be the 2 for me because she's really good at competitions, and it's like I it's hard for me to well, she's not really good.
She got those mental comps.
Good for her. Hold on. Because a part of me feels like she's a mixture of the terribleness of Vivek and the terribleness of Elijah. Because you were offering yourself as a pawn, and you was taking out your closest allies, and you did it twice. And it's like I can't do all of that terrible stuff. And it's like she was playing for Spicy V to win before even herself. Like if it had came down to that, I'm thinking she could have never won this. I can see Elijah and Vivek winning this game before her because she was always going to be understudy to Spicy V, and they knew it, and it was obvious, and she did it in everybody's face. It was just very like you weren't valuable. You weren't valuable, and who are you gonna win against? Who are you gonna win? Even if she won, who are you gonna deserve to win against? She was gonna win against somebody who deserved more than you. I really can't. I really cannot with her gameplay. I really can't. I want to give her the 1.5, so that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give her the 1.5. Terrible, and that is shade. Sorry, Kuzie, how you feeling?
What do I say to that? Lord, so the one thing about Avery that I can
forgettable, isn't she? Damn.
You're so nasty.
Stop that. Anyway, so Avery, the thing with her is that, as much as we didn't quite see it, it was a well-known kind of consensus in the house that she was like sitting pretty. She had the best position, and she actually believed that she was going to win. That thought, we on the outside thought, Delulu. But people in the house were like, yeah, Avery's actually sitting pretty. So there's a lot of stuff maybe that we didn't see. So for that fact, I would bring her up a little bit. However, I completely agree with what you said, that her whole gameplay was a setup for Spicy V to win. She cared about she like it's as if she was setting it up for V to win even before, for V to get her dream before, herself. I don't know if that was intentional or it's just the way that it ended up playing, because she was fangirling a bit at the beginning, and I didn't ever see it go down, So for that, I think I'll go with oh wow, you guys did 1.5 too wild. wild. I'm gonna go. Pharaoh's looking at me like, yeah. Well.
I mean, you got it.
I must say, I'm very nervous to give this rating.
Go
Pharaoh's
for
looking at
it.
me like, yeah, what? Let's go. Let's go 2.75. No, let's go 3. Let's go 3.
I was going to say you doing too many points.
I'm gonna go 3.
3. I think 3
That's
is
definitely fair.
I think 3
makes
makes
sense because she was well aligned, like well connected. So I gotta get it. But her gameplay was not for her to win, and that's why I would deduct so many points. It was really setting up Spice.
I agree. I feel like she, in general, that's the thing. If you take away her taking out all her allies, volunteering to be on the block and playing for Spicy V, she actually is a good player underneath all of that. And then it's like I think she's normally at like a 6, and then she actively is like, I don't want to be a 6, I want to be a 5. Actually, I want to be a 4. Actually, I want to be a 2. Actually, like, she wants to be a bad player. It's kind of crazy the way that she plays this game. It's like you're doing things that make you just worse and worse and worse.
I think Avery did her thing, but I just think that it was for sure leading to a Spice.
Yeah, she did Spicy's thing, and that's the thing. She did the thing. For another player, and that's the issue, and that's the issue.
But I know I mentioned a lot like earlier in the season, like her social game was definitely one of the best. Like she was speaking to a lot of people. That's why even the week when she took out Matthew, it was such a shock to me that she had this secret relationship with Matthew. I just wish that she used these connections for herself. Basically, what you're saying, like if she had used these connections for herself, Avery could have won this game, but she was so blinded by Spicy and everything that Spicy was doing.
Yeah, I would have in the game. I would have been irritated every day at Avery. However, should I have gone to jury and replayed it? Like she played the game. She wasn't like coasting or whatever. Like she was playing. She was
playing. Next is Tola. Lee, how you feeling about Tola?
Tola, that's the thing. Like I feel like we keep getting people that I just like we didn't get much from. Like like a few people in this cast was just like, ooh, girl, no shade. Like I like Tola as a person, but like. We was not getting a lot at all. Like, so I left him out for the 2. I'm gonna keep it the 2. Like, I just feel like his main quality was definitely being kind of protected by Anthony, but he was never fully included to any alliance. Like, even Matthew was included in a actual secured alliance. You know, I think that Tola, he got to a point where they weren't necessarily looking directly at him, but he was never able to lower that threat level with them, especially when the house split. In this like Lexus, Tola, Anthony side thing, he was always going to go first in that, and he did. So,
Kuzie, how you feeling?
You know what? I really liked Tola actually, and I thought that he was again like Matthew, really level-headed, undramatic. I actually really loved his speech, like the one they did to Bayleigh. To me, I was like, okay, player, all right then, all right, that's fun. I liked it. I thought he. After a while, we didn't get a lot from him for like a lot of the show. And then towards where he actually left the show, we were getting more of him. And we're getting a feel of him as a player. I liked him because I felt like he was well set up. He didn't make, maybe apart from Bayleigh, but I don't know if he made like enemies really out of anybody. To the extent that should he have gotten to the final 2, they might have given him the win. I think he was good at competitions. He was reliable. He was, he picked a side and he stuck with it. He wasn't like, I don't know if he was easy to manipulate like that. And that's something that I really appreciate about him. So I was here for that guy. And I like that he has a gentle spirit about him, Yeah. Like he's a gentle player, but he's a player, I would go, Pharaoh is so unimpressed. I would go with I'm going with a 4.5 for Tola, actually.
Period. Generous queen.
Yeah. I liked him.
That is my man. I do like.
Do you think the face card he was serving in those chairs?
Girl! Every
don't get Pharaoh started. Do not get Pharaoh started. That Pharaoh man for real, girl.
What? My man. If he didn't have that wife, it would have been me. Like, she's a lucky lady. Shout out to her.
Telling you.
Now, when it comes to the game, no read. I gave him the 3. I think I'm gonna stick with the 3.
Yeah,
I do like that he, like you said, like a part of it is almost that he doesn't have many super negatives. I feel like I can say a negative about Vivek and Elijah and Avery and a lot of these players, but with him, I mean, he didn't necessarily technically do anything that made me feel like, girl, what the fuck is you doing? The way they did. He every time he was in power or had an opportunity to do something, he did what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think he could have been convinced, but even when Anthony was like, you should take out Spicy, he was like, I don't want to. And then he didn't. So it's like, I mean, technically he wasn't convinced. So I really do like that he was his own individual player. But like Lee said, you know, he wasn't in any real alliances like that. Well, he was actually in alliance with Spicy V and them, which we found out. But still, you weren't in any real alliances.
That's why I said real.
You had I think he chose the right loyalties. Yeah. Because even though he wasn't in an alliance, he was more protected than all the Spicy V side of the house because he was on Anthony's side of the house. And Anthony was actually protecting him more. And I do like that he's able to discern who he should trust and who he shouldn't. He was very like clear on, I cannot trust Kayla and Avery. And I feel like a lot of other people were snowed by Spicy, Kayla, and Avery. Like Elijah was snowed by them. Matthew was snowed by them. And Tola was like, And I do like those, but it's still just a 3. I feel like
after everything that you just said, it's a 3.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of good qualities, but in this game, because you're lacking, I think he's lacking the core qualities, and he has all these other good things. But the core of Big Brother is to get an alliance and have actual allies who are actually with you. At the end of the day, he didn't. And that's the issue. Like, he had Anthony and Lexus, but not in a official way. They actually had to turn on their real alliance. And then he was actually somebody who they valued. And it's like, you needed to be active. And he was not an active player. And that's my issue. I think he had a lot of good thoughts, but he wasn't active. So it's just a 3.
And I feel like that's why I always end up so low on players like Tola, Elijah, Matthew. Because it's like, this entire time, I didn't see them as a real entity in this game. So when they went home, it's like, well, what much else did you give? Because it's like these people, they were never really protected too much. They were never really included that much, and they just went home. Like, I never thought Tola was going to win or had a chance to win. So when he left, it was just like, okay, well, what did you do for me the entire time you were here?
Yeah. A part of me does want to give Matthew a 4 instead, because I remembered how he was one of the main ones pushing the directors, and he was good at creating alliances, because even the final 4 he had with Lexus, Spicy, and Anthony, he was pushing that too. So I like that a lot, and I feel like that's what's separating certain players from others. It's like Dinis and Donna and Janine and even Matthew, they wanted an alliance. They wanted a group. They wanted to form something. They wanted to create something. They wanted to feel safe. I just think he felt safe too quickly, and that was his issue. But it's like, I'm still wavering on that. But anyways, let's move.
No, give him a 4. Come on. Do the thing.
I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna think about it. And then we're gonna wrap around. Because it's like I wanna separate him from Elijah, Vivek, and Tola in a way, because it's like he definitely had a little bit more going on. No,
that's my thinking on Tola as well. I don't wanna. I want to bump him up a little bit because he had a worthy play. All right.
Now
we onto the big scale in my head. I feel
we haven't rated these people yet. So this is going to be very interesting. Okay. We have Spicy Victoria v. Worgenhiren. Or however you say her name. Kuzie. How do you feel as Spicy as an overall player, sister?
Spicy had us crying from week 2. And as much as all our little favorites were going home, they were going home also on like her gameplay. And that girl gave us a show. She gave us a freaking show. What? It was insane. Disagreed with all of the moves because I wanted to. However, my goodness, I'm bewildered at how some of the things even sounded believable. Some of the things that she was saying to these people even sounded believable. Because why?
Yes.
Why would you even trust what Victoria has to say? Like, are you actually okay? But the fact that she got them to trust, and she got them running at her pace, and she stayed in there until the only person that took her out was Daggy. Shock, horror, and disbelief. I'm sorry. That's pretty cool. I I didn't appreciate that she was chaotic, but her chaoticness worked for her. It got her where she was supposed to get, you know? So, because obviously I don't like a chaotic gameplay. It scares me. I can't do it. Damn. Victoria, no, she played with a hot man. I'm gonna go with an 8.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, I'll go 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah. I feel you. I feel like the chaoticness worked until it didn't.
Until it didn't.
And that was the issue, because for me it was almost always, when is this gonna stop working? And that was my issue with her. But I do think she played a very, very powerful game. I think that, everyone goes into this game and they're dealt a hand of cards. And I do think she was dealt a good hand, and then she really held on to her good hand the whole time. No matter what move she was making, she really still stayed in a safe position for most of the time. Her biggest mistake, which I said was worst for her game of all of the hot chocolates, was when they took out Matthew. I remember, go back and watch our video of the week Matthew went home. I said, honestly, y'all, I feel like this is worse for Spicy. And people were still feeling good on her because she was still safe. But I was like, I genuinely think this is going to come back to bite her, because she's losing Anthony right here. She's losing Anthony with this move, and losing Anthony is never going to be good for her. And that's exactly what happened. And I feel like it was almost pointless, some of the things she does this season and her first season. No shade. It's like she does things and it's like she almost just does it because it seems like she just feels like she needs to be doing something. And she was involved every single week, but there are weeks in Big Brother where you don't have to be involved. You can simply just exist in the game. And I feel like she didn't know how to take her foot off the gas. And that was the same with her first season. And I feel like she got caught up in a lot of stuff. But she was very powerful. She did have a lot of control. And I really do like that. She ran a lot of the HOHs. She ran a lot of this beginning of the season up until Kayla going home. And she even ran Kayla going home. Yeah. She just shouldn't have did it. And that's the thing. And that's her issue. She shouldn't have took out Matt. She shouldn't have took out Kayla. She probably shouldn't even took out Vivek, because Todd voted your ass out. And you saved Todd by taking out Vivek. So it's a lot of things that I feel like she shouldn't have took out Donna either. She shouldn't have took out Janine either. She shouldn't have did almost every single move in hindsight. So she was doing so much wrong moves, but it was so much control. So I'm kind of conflicted. I'm like, nothing you did was good. But you did so much.
I hated all the moves.
And they also just weren't good for her in hindsight, especially. Like, it led to Avery and then you going home. Like, that was not good for you in hindsight. But she had so much control. So I'm really very, very conflicted. I think I'm going to give her the 7 though, because of how much power she had in this game. I'll give her the 7. Yeah. No higher though. Lee?
I think that's where I'm conflicted at, because I feel like despite the power, like, the fact that it was all going to a wrong place. Like, I just, like, for me, while watching the season, I was like, well, she's not, I don't think she's going to, I think it's going to catch up to her at some point. Like, when is it going to catch up to her? I did not see her as the winner of the season because of the game that she was playing, honestly. So I just feel like, despite the control, there were so many moves that were made that were not necessarily good for her, that just full on led, like you said, to her going home. I feel like one of the best things she was doing was isolating Anthony to make sure he does not win in the end. And she was doing that really well. And that's the main thing that caught up to her, because he's the one who took her out. So I feel like, considering that, it's definitely a huge thing that she was going to win if she were to get the final 2. But that's the thing. She wasn't really that close. There was 3 people in front of her before she got to the win. So it's like, even though Anthony cut her there, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like I said, this was always going to happen at some point. So I just feel like, despite everything, I'm going to go with the 6.5. But I do feel like, she was already, she had an edge up on the competition because she was a returnee, and she had like a confidence going in that she was able to play with. And I think that her and Anthony, they definitely leaned on each other a lot throughout the season. If she was making moves that I felt like was actively getting her to a winning trajectory, then she would have won based off the game that she was playing. And the fact that she didn't get there, I feel like it's because she was not doing a lot of things that was actually correct for her. So I just can't reward her too high for that, because you should have been doing great things to help you. And I don't think that she was doing anything with her power to actively help herself. It was always hurting her. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Child. Next is Todd. I'll start with Todd. So with Todd. Todd played, a very interesting game. He made it far, so we got to see a lot of what his game was. And I feel like we got to see everything Todd could provide, which was, having slight awareness sometimes with the Anthony situation, but also, he can be convinced by Anthony. He was convinced by Anthony to target Kayla and Avery a little bit. He said in his exit interview he was convinced by Tola to nominate Avery and Kayla at the thing. And no shade, but it's like, you getting convinced by Tola? Hold on. Bayleigh didn't want him to use a veto on her, so she didn't, to save Spicy, but then he voted out Spicy the next week. It was a lot of conflicting information with Todd. It was almost like you're just doing what you're told. And then I think a lot of the fans really liked him, so we got to see a lot of his supporters kind of like advocating for his game. But when I spoke to him in the exit interview, he basically admitted that he was just doing what people were telling him to do. He said, Tola told me to target Kayla and Avery, so I did. He said, we all agreed to target Spicy, so I did. Me, Spicy, and Bayleigh agreed not to use the veto on Bayleigh, so I didn't. And it's like, everything you're saying is because someone told you to, and then you could tell like his awareness of the game just wasn't really there. So I don't really like any of that. Unfortunately, he had a chance to win the game, but really that means nothing to me considering the jury was just being bitter. So I kind of don't even care about that a little bit. I don't love his game just because he didn't know it. I wish he knew the game. I wish he knew what to do, but he didn't really know it. And it was clear that he wasn't doing anything through his own accord. It was always someone else. And that's damn near the same as Avery for me. Only difference is he made it to Final Four. He won 3 vetoes in a row. That's cute. But to me, it was about what and what with Avery. And honestly, if I'm going to give Avery the 1.5, I might as well give him the 1.5. He wasn't thinking nothing on his own ever. So I'm going to just give it a 1.5. Even when he was targeting Anthony, it was mostly because Bayleigh was targeting Anthony. And then when he wasn't targeting Anthony, it's because Bayleigh wasn't targeting Anthony. It was like everything was because of someone else. I cannot. Me personally. No shade this time, actually. Kuzie, how you feeling?
I feel like with Todd, my true feeling was that Bayleigh was raising him to beat him at the end. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason that's what it looked like to me. It seemed like Bayleigh was going to bat for him so she could stand with him at the end and say, I raised you, right?
Yeah.
And so for that, like I could also see like he was gaining some momentum right at the end. He's winning all these vetoes, but at the same time, with wins at the end, I like to discredit them. I don't like to credit them as much because you're competing with such few. There's a bigger chance for you to win, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't start calling you a comp beast when you're winning against 4 people. Let's take it to week 1. Win then, But anyway, but he did win. I won't hold it against him. I just feel like his game wasn't as strong as maybe some people that got a boot before him. However, he did come into his own. He didn't know the game and it showed, but he did come into his own. Like he picked it up and ran with it. I would go with a 3.5 for him.
Mm-hmm.
3. Let's go 3.
Mm-hmm. Lee, how you feeling?
Yeah. Basically, y'all hit a lot of the main points. He was definitely used throughout the game from several people. Like, I think the only reason why he did make it so far is because, the Victoria 3 mistakenly thought that they can use him when they couldn't. I think that is one plus I always acknowledged about Todd is that he did kind of have a poker face in a way. I feel like no one really knew how he actually felt about Anthony, Spicy, those girls. Like I said, they literally thought they could use him. Because of the conversation they had with him, and the whole time he was plotting against them. Mm-hmm. Even if that is because, someone basically told him to make a move, he had these conversations himself a lot with Bayleigh and things like that. So you can kind of get an inkling of what he was thinking. And it was always on the right track for at least protecting his game, his and Bayleigh's game. And I do want to give him credit for that because I feel like he was one of the only newbies from the beginning who was looking out for what he wanted almost, like his individual game, basically. So I'll give him that 10 for that. But once he did get included, it was basically whatever Bayleigh wanted and whatever Bayleigh was going to tell you to do, or Spicy today, or Anthony this day. So and that's really disappointing overall. So I think I'm going to end off with a 2.5.
That's good. Yeah, I might give him the 2. And then I might not. But I was looking because Elijah got a 2. I'm gonna give him a 2 because Elijah got a 2.
Damn,
Next is Lexus.
Scores.
Next is Lexus. Kuzie, do you want to start with Lexus? Go ahead.
Lexi, that's mother right there. Listen.
Period.
I like Lexus. I like her so much.
I love her down.
You know, she has this resting. She's got this. She's the sweetest smile, but resting bitch face when it's time for business. You know, then I feel like she played a quiet game, really quiet to the extent that a lot of people couldn't see it. But like, if you really think about the things that she did and the way that Lexus was thrown to the wolves long time ago, and she survived. Yeah. So not only she was playing offensively, she was playing against the attacks because damn were they coming, you know, and in very subtle ways too. And she picked up on it and she kept herself out of the loop, out of the circle, but like managed to get to freaking final 3 by winning, by aligning herself correctly, and by and I don't know, you know, she did the thing. I'm here for her. Like I really liked it. I'm gonna go. I kind of want to go 7.5 for Lex.
Period.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it.
Yeah, I like that.
Period.
Lee, how you feeling?
Yeah, no, I love my good sister Lexus. I really, really do. And I think she did have some good qualities. Like we spoke about in her Final Four deep dive. Like she was one of the first people I feel like we've seen that was like approaching Anthony and Spicy together saying, I want to work with both of you. Let's create something. Let's get something started. I feel like that is kind of what blossomed into the Hot Chocolates. And, you know, she was active with the women in creating that women's group and things like that. So, you know, in those earlier weeks, she was able to kind of sit between 2 large groups. I think that's where the issue kind of came in that because when she got with Matt, you know, jealousy or just bitterness, whatever have you. I don't know. Mm-hmm. They felt that way about it. And she was not able to get up from under that. What I liked about her game throughout is that even though that she knew these people were talking shit about her, she never acted as if they actually were. You know, she was still trying to keep herself protected with them to the fact of like, yeah, they would talk about targeting Lexus, but it never actually came to fruition because they still felt like she was a number in some capacity. And then I know that we also mentioned this in the Final Four deep dive that she was so good when she was involved in the plan. And I think that's also her biggest negative is that, you know, she was inactive up into those points a little bit. Like she was good socially in the beginning. She set herself up well. And then when she got with Matt, it kind of went downhill from there. And then when he left, I feel like she got more back into it. But it was kind of through these plans that Anthony was setting up. Like she was not really enacting a lot of things on her own. And that is what I would have liked more from Lexus is her securing her own safety. Like, for example, even planning a final 2 with Anthony, telling Anthony that we're going to be the final 2, that you have to take me. So in a situation where he wins the final HOH, he feels more emboldened to take her. And I just think that those are like small things that she could have done to just make herself more of a priority. But all in all, I really do love the fact that even though she was hated from day one, she was able to get to the end. I just think, like I said, based off the activeness and the lack of like kind of creating her own plans or strategies or just ways to kind of get to the end, I'm gonna end with the 5.5 for Lexus, especially too because a lot of those girls did not like her and they were never really gonna respect her game in a way that was gonna lead to the win, I feel, honestly. And some of that is like she really didn't have much to do about that. Like she's just who she is. I didn't like the personality that she brought, but at the same time, I would have liked if she was just a little bit more active because I think that was Bayleigh's plus, you know, like Bayleigh without being in the Hot Chocolate, she made sure that they prioritized her because of the way that she continuously talked to them, continuously spoke game with them, and made them know that she's a loyal ally for them. Whereas Lexus, I don't think she should have been able to, she really didn't need to do all of that because of the Hot Chocolate, but you know, that was the main issue. She wasn't aware that early on that there were other things happening because she wasn't really doing anything else either at that point. So,
yeah, I actually agree with the 5.5, and I am going to give Matt the 4. Wow. I will say, I feel like Hot her and Matthew have like similar play styles. I think they're really good at positioning, but specifically Lexus is really, really good at positioning because she had the girls alliance. And from what we saw, it was Spicy V who was exposing the girls alliance, which means Lexus had the girls alliance. And then she also had Anthony, Tola, and Matthew. And she wasn't going to really, talk too much about it. Like she was going to allow her position to be between these two alliances and kind of take that to the end. And she kind of spoke about it in the diary room. She had a diary room talking about somehow I have the girls over here and I have the guys over here. I think at the end of the day, I'm going to pick the ones who seem more loyal to me, but I have both options. And it's like, I really like that she's thinking on that. She was thinking in that term on this season, and it really shows because other than Spicy and Anthony, the two veterans, she's the last person to be nominated. Lexus was the last newbie to be nominated the entire season. And it's like, it's because she's very, very good at positioning. And I do think different players have different qualities. And I think that that's Alexis's, like, best quality is positioning and being safe and understanding what she can do and what she can't do in order to stay safe in this game. And Lee, like you said, like she never showed those girls that she knew that they hated her because when she was going to get backdoored, the reason Spicy was comfortable switching it to Kayla is because she didn't know Lexus wanted her out. She only wanted Lexus out because she wanted Lexus out. She didn't know Lexus also hated her. Whole time Spicy's thinking, I'm still in the Final Four with Lexus. So it allows things like her allies to protect her because on her end, she's playing good enough to where people aren't targeting her because they think she doesn't like them. They're just targeting her because they want to target her. And I think that that's really shows in the fact that she made it so far. She didn't get taken out at these moments where they were wanting to take her out. And then she was the last one to be nominated of the newbies. So I really do like all of that. But I'm going to just keep it at the 5.5 because of the fact that she was not active in the way that I wish she was active. Kind of like Tola for me. Like y'all just aren't active enough. Y'all really aren't. And I think that's y'all issue. Y'all have allies, y'all have groups. The difference with Lexus is she had genuine final fives with the hot chocolates and final twos with Anthony, even though she didn't reinforce it. It's like she had a lot of in-game plans. She even had Matthew. It's like she had people, bitch. She had Tola. She had people of her own. And I really like that. So that's why I put her above these other people. But it's like, you weren't active enough.
You know what I thought of? I thought of the fact that Lex actually didn't have anyone like batting for her in jury. That's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, no, except Tola. When I had
Tola, but what stance is Tola gonna?
Yeah, exactly, right. And that's the issue.
So that when you mentioned positioning, I'm like, yeah, all right. I might take Lexus' score down a little bit, but I'm gonna take down Dinis's for sure. I'm gonna take down Kayla's a little. All the 7s that I give, I think anything above 7 is only worthy for Spicy V and Becky and Bayleigh at this point. I think Lexus, we're gonna go 7.
Okay.
Dinis, we're gonna go 6.
Okay. And Kayla
will do 6.5.
Okay.
I'm happy with that one. Yeah.
Okay. Per.
Yeah.
Eight. Boom. Now we're on to Anthony Dagalucci. Lee, how are you feeling about Anthony?
I mean, it was really just an impressive gameplay from my point of view. Like, I think that definitely you can say that Spicy helped him a lot in his game. I will say that, but I do think that was also just a situation they were put into. Both of them were really helping each other in the early days of this season because they both wanted that final 2. But I think that the work that we saw Anthony do when he made that switch from the hot chocolates was just so impressive. Like, I speak about it all the time, but like the Vivek week when he was literally giving all of them things to go to him and say to get him to put up Dinis, like a lot of those words and verbiage that was used to manipulate Vivek came from Anthony's words. And then the play that he used against Spicy to take out Kayla, and then the final 5 move against Spicy, we just saw time and time again that he was able to make what seemed impossible happen. And I think that there are not a lot of players who are able to do that, especially like he's able to do it in crunch time. And in times where he doesn't have a lot of time, he doesn't have that many people to use or that much even longevity with these players. Like I thought that basically Spicy had put so much stake into Bayleigh that there was nothing that Anthony could have said or done that could have made her comfortable with choosing him over Spicy. And that's what ultimately happened. I just think that, this is a player that, regardless of how you feel, like, he is legendary in this game. He really is. Like, the fact that he was not nominated until default at Final Four is so impressive. Only one nomination throughout 2 whole seasons, Like, he is a very impressive manipulator. I think, like, the only negative is, like, this gameplay, we've seen it before, it is not respected. Like, I feel like Dan, BB14, Paul, BB19, now we have Anthony here. Some would probably say Tyler as well. And I do think that, like, is on the person to try and manage that a little bit better. I feel like it's kind of a double-edged thing. I think the jury and the player, they both need to kind of, compromise in that way. But in general, I do think there are certain things that he could have tweaked with his relationships that would not have left them just so bitter and angry and upset with him. But I've also said that I think that if he was playing an all-star cast, it could be a different story. Or if, just like if he, like, I don't know. I just like there are so many different scenarios that he could have played in that he would have been able to get the win. And this season is so circumstantial in how this jury felt about him, to the point of where, like I said, they're mad at some of the things that they also did themselves. So I hate that it's like people are like trashing him as this like game player when it's so circumstantial. I feel like both times, like even with Dane, it's like they genuinely just kind of like Dane more. They didn't really hate Anthony. So it's just for like both these situations is kind of like he was so close and he just wasn't able to get it. But I don't think that overall knocks his ability as a game player. Like, I think he did things in this game that no other player will be able to do. Even some of the greats, the Derricks and Dans and things like that, I don't think they could necessarily do. So I think overall, I'm still with the 8.
Okay, period. I agree with what a lot you said. I do think he's one of the best players when it comes to everything before the final 2. I think that he has shown that he is the best Big Brother player at everything before the final 2, 100%, because the way he is convincing people's closest allies to take out their closest allies and be able to convince other people to convince the closest ally to take out the closest ally and to get people to flip on their allies, to flip on what's best for them, for him. It's never been done. No one's ever done it in Big Brother US, in Big Brother Canada. It's never been done the way that Anthony has done it. In such an intricate, you're going to take out Dinis, Vivek, Avery, you're going to take out Kayla. It's literally going to be you, and that's because I'm going to make Spicy V convince you to do it. No one has done shit like that ever in the history of Big Brother. It's very, very amazing. He's very top tier. He's definitely one of the best players ever. The issue is that final 2 and garnering a jury that's able to do it. At the end of the day, I do think if anybody comes close to what he's done, it is a little bit Derek, because they in the chat talking about Derek overrated. I feel like Derek's flipped allies on allies more than Dan or Will have ever done. Like, it's really not a gameplay that you see often, and the fact that Anthony did it 4 or 5 times in this one season so easily, and then after doing it his first season, having this legacy, coming back, doing it again, people still not nominating him going unnominated 2 entire seasons, it's never been done. My only knock is him making sure the jury is a group of people who can work for him. Like I said, I personally think his problem was his foundation, and that he started off on a foundation knowing he was going to have to crush it. And if that was the case, you should have built a different foundation, and you should have started off with a group of people who you wanted to go to the end with. If you felt more loyal to Matt, Tola, and Lexus from the get-go, you should have just been in a main alliance with Matt, Tola, and Lexus. And that's how I feel. So because he didn't do that, I feel like that was the reason of his eventual downfall. Same with BB 7. He had so many sub alliances to a lot of the pre-juror, and it's like, if most of your sub alliances is with the people in the pre-jury, like Eddie and them, why aren't they in the jury stage? Why didn't you protect them to make sure they made it to the jury? And I feel like that's what he didn't do. And I remember conversations. Spicy would be like, "Is Matthew talking to Kayla?" And he would be like, "Well, like, I got him." And it's like, hello? Is Matthew targeting Kayla? say no. And that's his issue. He does not protect his allies when it comes to building a structure that protects his allies. And when it comes to protecting them throughout the game, he's just very, very good at it. Literally everything else. But that issue goes into the jury issue, because if your allies make jury, you can win the game. If Matthew and Tola, like you said, Kuzie, if Matthew would have made jury, he would have had his own. Matthew's not listening to shit Spicy V saying, and that's on period. If Matthew and Tola and Elijah were all in jury, all three of them are voting Dougie, no matter what. Now all you need is one vote, ho. Yeah. And you didn't do enough to make sure he made it there. And I feel like it's these little things that it's like you're a pro at everything else, but it's like those little things you need to tweak. But honestly, the game is immaculate. I've never seen anything like it. He's one of the best players ever. He played nearly a perfect game. All he needed to do was get the win. And I don't feel like it was a situation where he just never should have won this. With Paul, it's like, Paul, you didn't deserve to win. You didn't eat this up. If they voted Anthony, I would have been like, oh, that makes sense. So I feel like it's really not, it's not even that bad that he lost, because it would have made sense if he won. So I'm gonna give him the 9.5. I think he did great. Few tweaks. Tweak that shit. You would have won the game.
Yeah. I'm stuck between a 9.5 and a 9. Why? Because I feel like taking 0.5 off of these two things I'm gonna say. One, his only mistake is that he sent home V bitterly. Not that he sent her home, that he sent her home bitterly. Now, there's a subsection. My subsection is that watching the whole season, watching how easily manipulated these people are, he should have known that V can still do that same thing in the same way that they've made all these moves and kicked all these people out just by power of talk. You really think that she's not going to use that against you in jury? She's convinced them of the most heinous things in the game. You think out the game she's not going to do that? She's definitely going to do that. And that was the worst mistake ever. However, I cannot take away from that game. He did the unthinkable, like insane. I don't even need to explain it. I think we're going to go with 9.5 for sure. Yeah, so his only that was the killing, that was his dying move. He could have taken Bayleigh and still won had he sent out V with a smile. Yeah,
like if he would have just, because Lexus wins the final four veto, not that he knows that was going to happen, but hypothetically, if he's able to take out, well, it would have had to be Bayleigh, which would have been better. But if he would have took out Bayleigh at final five and Lexus won the final four veto, she's the one evicting Victoria. Now Victoria probably votes him to win. It's like he's so close. Yeah. And it's not even just that. Maybe even taking Lexus, it's like maybe they would have just hated her so much, or her speech would have been bad to where they're like, you know what, we just got to give it to Anthony because she ain't even saying nothing. So it's like I think he's just so close. He's a centimeter away from winning, and not just winning, but being the best winner in Big Brother history. Because if he would have won, he would have been the best winner in Big Brother US and Canada. Period. And he was
exactly, and he was so close. But I think honestly, is because he should have rewatched the season in his head and seen exactly who he's dealing with. He should have. Yeah. If he had known who he's dealing with, he would have known never to make that move, because trust, they're going to do the opposite of what should happen, or of what he thinks should happen in his head.
Yeah. So. Last is Bayleigh.
Big B. Come on.
Big B. Kuzie, how you feel about Bayleigh overall?
Listen, Bayleigh, you know, I'm not even thinking back to like when she first started, but towards the very end, any small information she got, she acted on it. She kept it in her mind. She captured it. Either she spoke on it, she addressed it, or she kept it as you know, weapons. Wild. That well done. Well done for that gameplay, because it's really all about collecting those little things, you know. And she's so deserving of the win. I'm not even mad at it. I'm not even mad at it. Well done to that babe. And she broke the first what do you call it? The first entry curse.
Yeah.
That thing got me last year. It actually did. It was me. It actually did. But anyway, no, I like Bayleigh. I'm here for her. I think she did amazing. She played game. Like she played game. There's nothing about her game that I would particularly change.
Yeah. Especially because she won. It's like it validates it.
Oh, rating.
The score.
Jokes. You know what? For the super, she's. I feel like she's a super fan or like
A big fan, yeah.
a big fan either way. Um, she didn't let that. You know, sometimes with super fans, you have so many ideas of the game
Yeah.
and different gameplays that you want to apply. She applied hers,
Yeah.
her own, and it worked for her. Well done to that girl. I'm gonna go. It worked. I'm gonna go with the 10.
Oh, come on. Give it to her.
Tens, literally.
The speech, the being
speech was
prepared
amazing.
for the speech, the reading the room, the whole season long. Come on, the
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, I really did. I really do. Especially because she won. You have to think of her game differently because
Yeah.
I will say there are a lot of moments where I'm like, okay, this is not the best thing. I'm not sure how you're going to do it, especially at the beginning of the game when she was being argumentative with Dougie. She was argumentative with Vivek for no reason. When Donna went home, I wasn't sure. But after I spoke to her, had my interview with her letting me know that as soon as Donna was backdoor, she had her eye out on the girls. Everything they did, she knew she couldn't fully invest her trust in them. A lot of the times they were making these moves, even the Kayla move, she didn't understand. She was always questioning everything they were doing. And I think, initially, before I spoke with her, before I had her hindsight of the game, and before her final speech, I was like, I don't know about Bayleigh. Like she deserved the win, but it's like, are you really that girl, when it comes to the strategy and stuff? But when she explained her game in that speech and she said, I played in Anthony's face and I told him I was targeting him because I wanted him to respect me. And I knew if I had him on my side, he would take me all the way to final two, even though I was going to cut his ass and I didn't give a fuck. That let me know the time she was thinking on for real. Because I was not sure. I was like, but no, she explained she didn't trust the girls since the Donna week. She definitely didn't trust them when they took out Kayla, even though taking out Kayla was good for her. She was always speculating why she wasn't prioritized. Why y'all don't care that Kayla wanted me out? Y'all care more about this other shit going on. Why didn't you save me when we were voting to evict? She was always questioning. And even with Anthony, she was always questioning, what's the hot chocolates? To the end of the game, she wanted to know every single thing because she wanted to use it in a way that could favor her. And I like that she's not reactive. That's my issue with a lot of players is that Bayleigh, you think would be reactive. But in reality, she knew she couldn't trust Anthony from the beginning. Yeah. And instead of I'm going to take him out because I hate him. Or even when the girls turned on Donna, instead of I'm not working with them, I'm just going to go work. She wasn't reactive in that way. You think she would be, but she really isn't. She works with the people who she knows she can't trust. She knew she couldn't trust Pussy this whole time. It took her ass out at 5. That's crazy to me that she was able to work with this girl that way. So I really, really do like a lot of her game, especially when she explains it, because she was thinking at every single week. Yeah. I have to shout out the executive veto and the double eviction when she ran both of those situations. At the executive veto, Spicy and Anthony had that conversation and it didn't fucking matter because Bayleigh went in and said, you're using it on top. Yeah. And she did. At the double, Spicy had conversations with everybody else and it didn't matter till Bayleigh spoke to her and said, you're not putting up Todd. She got what she wanted at every turn next to Anthony. Over what Anthony wanted. Yeah. Anthony, the nigga I just gave a 9.5. Yeah. So her game is really, really good in a lot of ways. I do feel like there's things she could tweak. She could have easily, like we talked about, been the Donna catalyst instead of Donna. Because at the beginning of the game, she was very, very rocky. There were a lot of rocky moments. There were a lot of times where it's like, ooh, are you going to win? She did prioritize Spicy a little too much in the middle of the game, but she controlled it and she made it to the end. And I really, really like that. I'm going to give her the 8. I am.
After all of that.
After all of that, she's just getting the 8 for me. That's still my girl. She still ate it up. Yeah. But 8 it up. You get it?
Come on.
She sure did. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think Bayleigh played a really amazing game. And I think like you were saying, like the speech that she gave in the end, she really knew the game that she had played. And the thing is, like with a player like these newbie players, I mean, we went through them all. Like none of them almost had a path to the end. And Bayleigh, by the time jury hit, we really saw it for her then, because she was one of the only people that prioritized herself, I feel like, over everything. And she was the only newbie player this season that wanted that had passed for her individual game, and she made sure that they actually acted out. I feel like everyone else was either running up behind Anthony or running up behind Victoria. And like you said, the fact that she was able to articulate that she was using both of them and in so many ways to get to the end, like, and that's what's so unique. Like, every player who plays this game has a unique game, especially like the winner. And she was faced with a situation where she has these two returnees that are dominating the game, have their fingers and hands in every single pot, and she had to use them. It's kind of like, I almost kind of like want to overlook some of those things I saw in the earlier weeks, because like that was her learning the game of Big Brother, playing with two people who had already played. We saw her be able to like lock in, use these knowledgeable players to get to her own win. And I do feel like if she were to come back and play again, she probably would do better than both of them on the second wet tile. Like, I'm like, because like once you have the knowledge of the game, you're always going to be 10 times ahead of any newbie cast if you go play with them. So I just think that she showed within this season with returnees the type of player that she can be. So I feel like now that she has the knowledge and has a win under her belt, she could go into an all-stars or a half and half cast, or like just another season and dominate just as well, because she understands the game just a little bit more now. I feel like yeah, like definitely what you said, like her taking control during the executive veto and the double eviction, like those are things that people would not have felt comfortable even doing. And I was scared watching her do, but like I said, like that really became her superpower, because she was prioritizing herself at every single turn. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with 8.5 overall.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do the 8.5 too. What, Kuzie?
Bayleigh, you know, the thing with Bayleigh is she when she says she used Vic and Anthony, I believe her. She really did.
Yeah.
She equally yoked herself with them, and she was a big dog too. So it's like, you know, she behaved like a big dog and she played like a big dog, and boom, she won the season. Yeah. So everything, every little thing that she did, whether we thought it was chaotic, whether it was or not, she wrapped it up and presented it to the jury, and they're like, yes. And to us as well, who were watching, like she presented her game to us, and we said, yes, absolutely agree. The fact that nobody can, you know, dispute that she deserves this. Well done to that babe. Like, yeah, she played.
No, it was amazing. It really was.
But it's like, despite the amazing game and like the legacy that Anthony has, it's like you can still sit here and say Bayleigh deserved to win. And I don't think I would have said this next to anyone else.
Yeah.
I agree.
For sure.
Okay, I put them in order of our rankings, and we of course have Bayleigh as the top player this season, the best player this season overall. Then we have Anthony right after her, and then we have Victoria right after him. Them the top three, and then Kayla. Shout out to Kayla, and Lexus. And I think this makes a lot of sense, because no shade, the girls weren't eating like that. No. And then we have Dinis and Donna. I think that makes sense. No shade, the girls weren't eating that. Then we have Matthew, and then Janine, who was the first boot over all these people. Damn.
I mean, honestly deserved.
But it's honestly deserved. I think this is a damn accurate list. Now that I'm looking at it, like, wow, this is pretty dang accurate. Wow.
Yeah, I'm okay with this list actually.
We ate Avery a little low, but hey, she deserved. Yeah. You was playing in my face. You're not gonna play in my face and not be the 1.5. Like, deserved. Yeah. But I mean, Avery and Vivek, y'all both was taking out your allies. And Avery did it twice. Y'all at the bottom.
It makes sense.
Boom. It just makes sense. But hey,
I also like how equal Bayleigh and Anthony are. Because I mean, yeah.
I agree. I think they about what and what. Honestly, they really, especially because she won and he lost, you know, he played more dominantly, but she won the game.
But so, that's why I said too, like it's all about the type of game that you have to play with the situation. Get to and win. It has a lot to do with him being a returning, him coming in with Victoria and all of those things. Like Bayleigh, she won with her own qualities and her own pathway. And it's completely different, but I do think they both deserve to be around the same score, because the dominance in their gameplay on separate playing fields is like so good.
Yeah, 100%. Ciao. And that's the motherfucking season, I fear.
That's it. We're done. No more
What a great
podcasting
season.
on BB Can 12.
Well, and see, this is the thing. I'm glad you said that, Lee, because although Big Brother Canada season 12 might be over, with TRK, with the Reality Kingdom, Big Brother coverage is never over. We're always going to be giving you Big Brother coverage because we will be starting our Big Brother restarting our Big Brother Rewind series in 3 weeks with Big Brother 3 coverage. So we're going to be going back, rewatching the Big Brother 3 episodes with you guys. If you want to join us, follow us on Twitter. We'll be posting a community where you can join and talk about Big Brother 3 as we recap each of the weeks. So it starts, the coverage, the recap starts in 3 weeks, but we start watching it in really like 2 weeks. So definitely follow us on Twitter and everywhere at T Reality Kingdom. Get into that coverage. We're also covering a lot of new other shows, RuPaul's Drag Race, The GOAT, The Challenge, Amazing Race, Survivor. Of course, get into all of that. And Kuzie Mujakachi, it was great having you. You are amazing.
Thank you for having me. You guys
the girls were begging for it. They were adding
Girl,
you.
yes.
I'm so sorry.
Really?
They were adding us down.
us.
Make sure you get Kuzie.
Excitement. Oh, you guys. No, this was really fun. And you guys, I like your takes on things because it's actually you're not trying to please anybody.
And that's the truth.
And that's it. And it's like it's the real stuff, the things that we're actually thinking in our head. I know a lot of times like you'll get people like me who are like, I'm so afraid to make people mad, you know?
You did good though.
But you guys aren't. And and also for the fact that I feel like you really contribute to keeping the BB Can fire going. Like personal thank you from me because wild.
Nothing.
Like,
thank you, y'all. Y'all are amazing to watch. Thank you for keeping it entertaining even without the digital dailies.
Honestly.
Because girl,
Right?
I mean, even with the digital dailies, because girl. But no, thank you so much. It's honestly, Big Brother Canada is a fun experience usually. It's like it doesn't get drowned out like BBUS. So honestly, like I'm here for it. I love it. I love covering it.
Would you ever play?
I would definitely play. I've been applying. I apply here and there. I be telling the girls I apply here and there.
Yeah.
But I guess they don't want me. You better hit up your girl Robin, Cass,
Okay,
whoever.
I got this. Don't worry.
But no, it was so great. The season was good. Season overall was good. We ended it out. We done. Any more thoughts, Kuzie?
I have a lot of thoughts. I'm trying to. I hear Twitter's doing its thing, so I'm going to Twitter right now.
Period. Let's hop over to Twitter. Period.
I've been sleeping all day. I know nothing.
You gotta get that.
So we gotta get into it.
Let me go and get into it.
All right, y'all. Make sure y'all keep up with us. Keep up with our coverage. Kuzie, thank you for being here, and
for having me.
Thank you everyone for keeping it real with the kingdom. And bitch, we out.